On this episode, we ask ourselves, what's the opportunity in the current market of doom and gloom with the coronavirus? Well, we found a few bright spots concerning agriculture and the upcoming planting season to share with you. Stick around for Joe's corny joke at the end. He threw in a bonus joke this week.
Hi, this is Joe Merschman, and welcome to Cup of Joe, episode number 33, season 2. Today we have Turk and Ben. Tommy's out on assignment. So a lot of things going on this week, not necessarily in agriculture, but things that can kind of get you a little bit down and out. You know, if you're looking at the markets, if you're watching the news, it seems like everything's going to hell in the handbasket. So this episode, we're going to talk about what's the opportunity. What are some of the things that are going on right now that create opportunities? And you know, I've always been taught that when one sector gets negative, there's other sectors that get positive. And I think this, at the end of the day, when we get all finished with the coronavirus and all the different things that it's affecting, I think we're going to be much stronger and much better. So let's start with Ben. Ben, tell us something optimistic today.
Based off of the Blue Water Outlook emails that we get a couple email updates on what the weather is going to look like per week, and the most recent update that John Felt has shared with us shows that we're going to have positive planting conditions basically throughout our entire corn belt as we move closer into April here. So we're looking at slightly above average temperatures. We're looking at normal precipitation. That basically the prediction goes all the way out through basically July. So
I saw it. It's April, May, June, July. So I think short term we may run into a little bit of excess rain, but after that, this thing's looking more positive, at least as far as the long term forecasts go.
Right, and there's a lot of anhydrous. I mean, it seems like a lot because everybody was running at the end of the week. Last week, there's quite a few people right before our rain shower over the weekend that were working anhydrous, and they said that the ground was just absolutely perfect. So let's get rid of the last rain shower we had the end of this past week, and I think we're gonna see the middle of the week. We're probably gonna see a lot of guys start rolling again on field work and anhydrous. So that's very, very positive. It's a change from what we had last year.
So get ready to plant is your advice.
Absolutely.
It's going to come quicker than you think. And that means getting your seed delivered and making sure that you can go when it's time to go.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely been a above normal winter so far, or spring, early spring. Grass is greening up almost everywhere from the rains that we had, the warm weather. The trees are starting to see a few little buds on them, and so yeah, it's going to be here way before anybody's ready for it at this point. Even a lot of the roads are in pretty good shape for this time of year.
Yeah,
right.
It's. I think some of the reports were that farther down south had the earliest spring that they've had in 29 years, I believe. So that's going to move forward, and let's hope that we get the same thing. But be ready to plant, because it looks like we will. And and I do know of at least one farmer in Illinois that did plant last week, and that's Chris Ehler from Ehler Brothers. He always plants his early planting of soybeans, and they were Merschman soybeans, and he did get a round put in to start the process. So Chris has always been an innovator when it comes to early planting. So we do know that beans have been planted in Champaign County, Illinois, this past week. Not this week, but the week before.
Right. Some more positive news. Wheat overwintered very nicely from everything that we saw. I was out looking at alfalfa last night. That was breaking dormancy. Alfalfa looks really, really nice. If you haven't got your nitrogen put on your wheat for your when wheat has spring green up, nitrogen should be applied at that time, and we typically recommend 60 to 70 pounds at that time frame to get the wheat pushed all the way through the rest of the year, especially if it's on good black dirt.
Yeah,
so
it encourages tillering, and then also enhances quality, test weight, grain fill. So that plant is really hungry after going through winter, so you got to have that nitrogen there.
And that tillering is important to get more heads.
Yep.
One head per square foot is a bushel of yield.
So I think we're right there. I mean, if you don't have nitrogen on yet, as soon as it dries out, I'd try to get nitrogen applied. So good things going. I mean, the weather's nice.
Yep, the weather's nice, and we had this last week. We had all of our sales managers in. There was a lot of optimism from the team, and I thought that it sounds like we're in really good position. We're getting things shipped. We're moving things out, and we're in a really good position to help our customers have a good year. Hopefully, everyone at home is working on getting all their stuff ready so that they are ready, because this early spring is going to happen much sooner than anybody thinks it's going to. I know there's a lot of negative news right now with the coronavirus and the world pandemic that's coming. We've been through this before, Joe. I mean, it's not the end of the world. There's always opportunities in this. Again, fuel prices are probably a great time to lock in fuel prices for the year.
Yeah, I saw this morning that Ankeny, Iowa had gas at $1.73. Mm-hmm. We just purchased another load of diesel fuel, and it was sub $2. Is in the 190 range. So, that's a plus for farmers who use a lot of fuel. If you're going to need fuel, with oil prices where they are right now, there's going to be a tremendous savings there. I know that helps us too tremendously.
And then livestock producers and anybody that's feeding animals, that's an opportunity to lock in some protein and corn needs if they're buying corn as well. So there are opportunities out here for those people. And then low prices always create demand. I mean, people are going to continue to eat. They're going to continue to want food. And so these low prices are going to stimulate more demand, and I think the whole world economy is kind of recognizing the fact that maybe there might be better places to make your investments.
There's a saying: the cure for low prices is low price. In other words, if you want a higher price, the lower it goes, the more demand you create. That will create high prices.
And we're creating demand right now,
We're definitely creating demand. Last night I was watching the news, which I really probably shouldn't be, but just kind of shaking my head about all this hysteria and everything that was going on. And one of the things they talked about, I said, well, I know there's a toilet paper shortage, and they're not exactly sure why. And of course, obviously, there's a shortage of sanitary hand cleaners and wipes and stuff. Obviously that's a reasonable reason for a shortage. But what one of the newscasters said, well, what about food? And the other one said, oh, we're fine on food. We got plenty of food. There's no shortage of food. And he says, this country will never have a shortage of food. And I thought to myself, you kind of take the American farmer for granted, but the reality of it is, that was exactly the right thing. So that was the last thing they were worried about. They're worried about all these other things, but food, because it's grown in the United States, produced by the American farmer, and doesn't leave this country. We're so blessed to have the American farmer. Now, maybe the lesson learned after this whole process is that maybe we need to do a few more things at home here and not be so focused on the cheapest, lowest cost thing that we can do, and maybe we need to think about the jobs in this country and what they can do for our economy and for our country, which then creates demand for even more food and better food and higher quality food here in the U.S. So I think when we get all said and done, I think we're gonna learn a lot from this lesson here, and there's going to be a lot of supply changes made by the manufacturers and distributors in this country, and I think we'll come out pretty good. And the other thing too is about this coronavirus is, as we get more humidity and more heat, viruses are killed by ultraviolet light, and so we'll see this thing start dropping off as we head into summer. It's not going to go away. Everything indicates that as soon as we get back into fall and winter, it's going to be back. But hopefully the scientists will have a vaccine, and we can put this all behind us as a lesson learned, And I do think, though, that agriculture is still the place to be. I think if you're a farmer and you're in your back 40 or 80, you couldn't be in a safer place.
That's right.
You're not going to get infected out there.
Lots of sunshine.
Lots of sunshine, and so we're going into spring, and we want everybody to be healthy and be smart, but I think we're lucky we live in the rural areas, and so we have a lot to be positive about. I mean, unfortunately, looking at these markets and things, they won't stay there forever. Believe me, and we'll get through it. There's an old saying that says, "Tough times never last, but tough people do." And if any of the farmers out there remember the '80s, this is not good, but it's not as bad as it was in the '80s. The '80s were a very difficult time. So I'm very optimistic that we will be stronger and better because of this, and it will bring more manufacturing and more jobs back to the U.S., and that's good for our country. And thank goodness we don't have a food shortage, because then it would get crazy. Can you imagine going to the grocery store and not seeing any food in the grocery store? Like now you go to the toilet paper section and there's no toilet paper, and nobody really knows why people are hoarding toilet paper, but it must make them feel more secure and safe. But they're not hoarding food at this point. So Ben, one last thing, you had a chance to talk to some youngsters, young people. Tell us a little bit about that this week, because young people are the future of agriculture. And tell us a little bit about what you did and to expose them to the agriculture opportunity.
I had the opportunity to speak at the Southeast Iowa Regional Science Fair. So it has a bunch of, there's probably 150 kids there. And we had the opportunity to talk about how STEM affects agriculture. And STEM is the science, technology, engineering, and math, and how that all is influenced by agriculture. So in that process, I talked about a little bit about how Mershman Seeds, how STEM affects Mershman Seeds, and all the job opportunities that are involved in ag. When I graduated college in 2015, I think we had like a 98% placement into jobs with our graduating class from the College of Agricultural and Life Sciences. So ag is a booming area where we're going to continue to need more and more help from those young scientists, those kids that are starting to see science as a career path moving forward. So
you got autonomous tractors coming. We already have precision agriculture, just a lot of technology in farming. It's unlike one of the politicians that said you just poke a hole in the ground, drop a seed in, and cover it up, and away you go, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it was very, very cool to just listen to the titles of some of the projects. A lot of the projects that they're doing involve ag in some shape or form. So it was very unique and humbling experience to be able to go out and talk about what we do here and how it relates to agriculture and things moving forward. So it's a good opportunity.
You have to invest in the future. I'm a firm believer in that, because Mershman Seeds has been around since 1954, and we pride our company in having a lot of discipline when it comes to how we do business with our customers. In other words, we put our existing customers first. They are the ones that have got us to this point. We don't forget about them. We're not like some of the companies that will do anything for a new customer. In fact, they'll give them the kitchen sink and everything else. And I said, how do you look an existing customer in the eye if you do things like that? So we have a lot of discipline, and our company is financially strong. We plan to be around a long time. We continue to invest in our company. This summer we'll be updating the second phase of our update of our seed plant with new legs and color sorters. So we'll continue to improve our quality. And this year, I can tell you that farmers are getting a really, really big bonus over last year's seed. At least 5% more germination, and the vigor and everything looks so much better than last year's seed crop. So, I tell farmers, if you slow down the planter, it might start lifting up because the seed's coming up so fast. I mean, particularly with the Turpidity product, the biostimulants that increase uniformity and speed up the emergence process every time. And that we met with our suppliers just a few weeks ago, and they said, yes, every time, even in perfect conditions, you will still get a faster emergence, more uniform emergence on soybean seed. And that's a big, huge difference in our seed. So we're going to be around for a while, and we know the farmers are going to be around for a while, and we'll get through this coronavirus and all the hysteria. One of the major, there's leading indicators, and then there's trailing indicators, and when everything is in the newspaper, when everything is on the news, that is actually a trailing indicator that the peak of whatever the crisis is in. So I think we're close to the peak, and things are going to start getting better soon. Yeah, so don't give up. Keep your head up. Keep doing what you're doing. Things will change. That's the nice thing about agriculture. Nothing stays the same. So we appreciate you listening today, and we definitely are with you and care about you, and we're going to be here in the future to serve you, and we'll continue to figure out how to be more innovative and continue to bring you value in every bag of seed that Merchman Seed sells. And
Gonna do a corny joke?
oh, forgot the corny joke. Yes, I actually have two, because I think deserves that after this week we should have at least two. The two corny jokes I have are kind of related, so that's why I'm putting them together. What has 4 eyes but cannot see? What has 4 eyes but cannot see? The Mississippi River. Okay? Another thing. What did the Mississippi River say as it flowed by? It didn't say anything, it just waved. There you go.
There you
That'll
go.
get you through till next week.
Yep.
Take care.